But we are going to, just in the interests of getting the video out on it, we are going to cover the Wales South Africa game super quickly. And this is a game in terms of on paper, you know, third versus I think fifth in the world. They're all like, these are two of the top teams. I regrettably just by since the Six Nations, just by mere coincidence, every big test rugby weekend that's gone on, I've had a tendency to watch all or most of the games but exclude the Wales games. Like I saw the highlights of what they did in Argentina. They seemed to tear it up. I missed that game that they beat the Springboks in America. I obviously missed the Tonga game last week. I was going to the Ireland-Argentina match, so I watched back highlights of the 9-6 win, but I didn't see that in full against Australia. So Wales have been going like a freight train now for some time, and I've missed most of what's going on ever since, like, because Scarlets have obviously simmered down, and I assumed with that would go Wales, but they've actually changed up their selection. You're actually seeing fewer Scarlets players. You're seeing more integrated Welsh players, and then obviously this change in styles where they're not doing the Scarlets thing that they were doing in the Six Nations, scoring flashy tries, and they do seem to be winning games in different ways. I'm just very, very curious to sit down and watch them this time and see if they have what it takes to shake up what is a phenomenal South Africa team.
And both sides will want to win it, because like Wales are obviously targeting 4 from 4, which they haven't done in donkey's years in November. November has never really been their best time of year, and this is going very well so far. So they'll be primed and ready for it. South Africa will be very keen to sign off the year on a positive.
Totally.
After a few ups and downs, it's been an interesting transition of a year. Some major highs, some kind of low ebbs as well. They had some questionable performances in amongst all that as well. They had that little phase near the start of the Rugby Championship where they were just box kick it long and work on their defence for a while, which was fun to watch. I'm interested in who's gonna win the collisions, because both teams prioritise that a lot in terms of getting all of their shape going. And
I'm definitely biased in the sense that I haven't been obviously, as I said, I haven't been following Wales as nearly as much as I've been following South Africa. I look at the game and I see dangerous matchups for Wales. I really do. Like, obviously the fatigue factor has to come into it, because it's the end of the Springbok season and everything else, but you expect them to lift themselves for one more game. They've won the last 2. To be highly motivated to go and finish this season
with a winning tour.
So as much as Wales you would give the edge at line out time, I would give Box the edge physically up front. I would give Box the edge certainly in the scrum. And then you look at just that phase play and the winning of contacts, and then the Box defence that shuts them down. Wales, like, I certainly think I feel comfortable saying it's not going to be another 9-6 win. I would back the Box to edge that kind of game. I would back the Box to find tries in that kind of game. I think that what Wales have to be looking at is that rush defence and exploiting the holes that rush defence leaves behind,
which requires a bit of Scarlet play.
It does, 100%. And I would lean towards, if he's fit, Patchell at 10.
So would I. I think he just
sees the game a bit more.
Yeah, but he brings the wider men in a little bit more than the other ones. Like, Bigger's a lovely player, but he kicks it a little too much. And Anscombe's a very fine player, but maybe better off at fullback this week, because with the absence of Lee Halfpenny and the fact that you kind of want to play that game against the Springboks, you want to get outside that.
Well, I like Liam Williams at fullback.
I do too.
Have George North, and you can have the other lad they've been playing on the wing. Who have
what is his name? He's a young lad.
Josh Adams.
That's right. It's obviously it'll come down to Wales grabbing tries. Gareth Davis being sharp off the base as well, and trying to be quicker, trying to be quicker than South Africa all around the park all day.
Exactly. And because I think physically the matchup isn't great for them.
I don't think so. Well, they will stick with Hadley Parks. Hadley Parks versus Delindy in the midfield will be an interesting meeting of the Smashies. Curious to see who gets the best of that as well. Well, I'd love to see. I think Wales will probably try and employ him as somewhat of a deceptive tactic and try and go around.
I would think that would be the smart thing to do.
Well, that's what I expect anyway, because it just doesn't seem to stack up perfectly for them. Hadley Parks is perfectly built to get over the 10-12 George Ford Farrell axis if you want, but he's not built to smash over Delindy.
Warren Ball could never crack the Springboks, even at its peak.
No, it's true.
Even at the Springboks' slump, it could never crack the Springboks. And this is a bloody good Springboks team.
Indeed,
it's not to be they're not to be trifled with. They are to be flash scored against, and I'm curious to see if we're going to get the picture of what it looks like when their rush defence gets exploited. Because Wales
similarly, Wales will try and implement a rush defence as well, probably led by Jay Davis on the wide flank as well, but try and pressurise Pollard, because Pollard doesn't tend to kick as often as he maybe ought to sometimes.
The box aren't going to go too wide too soon.
I don't think so. I think it'll be Lindy carries.
Not just Lindy carries. You're talking Vermeulen carries and
in the wide channels,
or in the short channels, and Peter Steff and Snyman as well. They've been very good at getting over the game line and getting offloads away in those narrow channels inside 10, and that from there you look to generate quick ball and then move it. The only antidote to that for Wales is just not retreating far enough and still blitzing up and not getting called for being obviously offside, which they like to do.
Yes.
But I mean, it remains to be seen how that's refereed, which will play a big part.
Yes. How loud will the Millennium Stadium be? Because that'll have an impact.
Yeah, I think just in terms of mentality, almost like the Ireland All Blacks one. I mean, the Springboks are just, they've had their game against England where it went wrong and they really wanted to win, then they've had their great gutsy last at the death win in Paris, and then they've had their good win in Murrayfield, and now they're focusing on Wales. Whereas Wales now are really geared up for this game. I think they definitely have the emotional edge.
I think
the intangible edge is to Wales for sure.
Well, it's just been a long time coming, they feel, for sure. Like, Wales have always been a rugby nation. They're now third in the world. They came second in the Six Nations. They've had a stellar year by all metrics. They need to sign off with a big win against Big Southern, because as much as you might convince yourself that yes, we beat Australia, and that's one of the big three, but they're not really one of the big three. They're like South Africa and New Zealand are on another level, and from
they
Australia.
did get a couple of wins against South Africa since they did beat them in the summer as well. But I think at this time with this, it almost feels like the Alistair Coetzee Springboks and the Springboks over summer, and here we have the actual Springboks. This is what to beat this team is to
well, in terms of World Cup preparation, this is closer to it than the one at summer or anything else. So it's like, you don't want to kid yourself either. So it's a huge game for both. I don't know who they're going to pick at 10, and I don't know who they're going to pick at fullback, Wales, which is interesting.
My suspicion is that they will go with Patchell and Anscombe, and they will try and mix it up, and they will throw the ball around a bit. And as far as who's going to win, I don't know. It's a game of learnings. I'm leaning towards the Boks, but then, as I say, Wales have the intangible advantages. I think it'll be close. I think there'll be tries. I think it's certainly the game of the weekend.
Oh, for sure. And whatever about the history of England, Australia, or any of that kind of stuff, as far as rugby's concerned, it's Wales, South Africa in Millennium Stadium is the spectacle of the weekend. It's been a lovely November for that as well. Actually, we've all kind of taken our turns having big games, and now like after Ireland and New Zealand's antics last week, we both get to sit on the sidelines. The All Blacks get to take out their frustrations in the afternoon on a bludgeoned Italy. And hopefully we do the same against the US, although I'm curious to see what challenges they pose. But with this game, it's just one that I don't know. I don't know what I think. The other
battle that's massive, obviously, in the context of the game that we haven't even touched on yet, but both sides have been really good, is the breakdown area. I mean, you got Malcolm Marks, one of the best players in the world at the turnover ball, and then on the other end you got Tipperick, and you've got
Ken Owens. Is capable of nicking a steal.
Still playing for them at hooker at this tour, or is he injured? I think he's injured, actually.
Is he?
Ken Owens, no, there he is.
No, he is.
He's like a fine.
He's been playing with Scarlets as well. Ken Owens is good for a steal or two in a big moment as well. And then they still have Alan Wynne.
No, they do. And there's class players all over the park, but definitely for me, I'd be curious to see if they draft Francois Lowe. I would for this game,
for this particular game.
Yes, but certainly I think your out and out classy ones are Tipperick against Malcolm Marks, actually, who is a hooker, but still that's his game. And it'll be curious to see who gets the edge on just turning over the ball. Do either side get the offensive breakdown right, or is it going to be a lot of turnovers, a lot of chaos ball,
a lot of flopping? Is there flopping? And that's another thing, actually. Technically, South Africa's clear outs, if I'm going to cite an issue, and it is still an issue even in these Razzie years, they still rely on the bigitude factor as opposed to the actual get under and move them. So if someone manages to lock onto a ball, like, you can see some forwards just come in and flop all over them.
They also are one of many sides who play fast and loose with the side entry rule.
Indeed.
And listen, there's strength in numbers with that. Everyone does it and never gets called. But it's a weird one.
Indeed. Well, you get a tetchy ref on a certain day, and you can have a penalty.
One of these seasons, they'll decide to crack down on it, and they'll just start calling teams, and whoever adjusts best is going to have a great season.
Indeed.
But they are just going to start calling teams on it because it is getting a bit farcical.
Indeed.
Teams are just going in from any old angle.
Yeah, and getting them out of there.
Yeah.
Which no. And unless it's a neck roll or a head or a swinging arm to the head, it won't be called.
No, indeed. That's the focus this year.
Yeah. But yeah, no, like what are I just don't know what margins is going to come down to. I'd like to make Wales favourites, but my sneaking suspicion is that South Africa sneak it with a sneaky play.
They've been sneaking them all this it'd be very good for them to do that, go to Europe and get, like, as much as the England game hurt them, to get them 3 on the bounce.
Yeah, but this feels like a warning shot of a South African season. Is what it feels like. It's like sleep on them at your peril. Because they're still there. Or they're bloody good, and they're so strong, so good,
and just around the pitch, they, like, talent wise, they have just so many top class players. Kitsoff, argument for best loose head in the world, Malcolm Marks, argument for best hooker in the world, the second rows argument for they're in the conversation for best second rows, or certainly depth wise, having so many options at second row. Then you have Dwayne Vermeulen is in the conversation for best 8 in the world, Faf de Klerk best 9, Villy LaRue even at fullback, best attacking fullback.
Faf de Klerk, isn't he always wrongfully omitted from the conversation about best 9?
No, I mean, sure, he's nominated for Player of the Year this year.
Yeah, that's true.
The only scrum have to be nominated.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
actually. And yet it's always Conor Murray v Aaron Smith,
because Conor Murray and Aaron Smith are bloody good. But he's in there. He's in that conversation, no question. And what's fascinating about it is that they're 3 totally different players.
Ways to play the game.
You have Aaron Smith, who's just all techers, has this perfect pass and creates that killer pass, and then you have the general in Faf, who's moving everything around and everything's
challenging the line occasionally.
And then you've Conor Murray, who's, I guess, is a general as well, but of a different sort.
And he is the superior box kicker in the world. He has actually taken that skill to a new level.
Which is game management in general.
So but with that, we're going to wrap it up.